Edgerton's Cascade Ice Company was quite an entrepreneurial effort. Several gentlemen dammed up the West Monument Creek and created two major lakes, and what they would do between November and as late as April, they would harvest big blocks of ice and load them onto train cars to keep food cold or take them down to Colorado Springs for refrigeration. The structures today still exist off in the trees. Edgerton had a school, and this is what it looked like today, but we're going to take a closer look at where the Edgerton School was. Here in the shadow of Blodgett Peak, just up the hill from today's Ice Lake, was the site of Edgerton School. Grades kindergarten through 8th grade met here in a one-room schoolhouse, and the school existed from 1874 to 1915. The Edgerton School was on this ridge near the Otis House and near the Air Academy High School. It was the first school of District 20, and that's what it looks like today. We'll now learn a little bit more about the Edgerton School. Thanks to Sharon Cunningham's book on the first 50 years of District 20, she's captured a lot of insight into what this school was. It existed from 1874 to 1915. It was a one-room schoolhouse, and it was painted red and white and had a nice white fence. And the kids, the first bus barn was actually a place to tie up their horses. The first school of District 20 was called Edgerton School, and eventually in 1915, it went over to the Rock Rimmon Valley as we know it today, and it became the Woodman School, the Woodman-Roberts School. So quite an illustrious history that Sharon Cunningham has captured in her book about District 20 schools. The Teach Out Hotel was located just south of where the Academy is. Quite a thriving stagecoach stop, and actually the train would stop there. The Teach Outs had an 8-room hotel, and here we see people awaiting the stagecoach in their attire. The foundation of the Teach Out Ranch still exists today. Here's a photo a while ago of one of my mentors, Forrest Porter, who unfortunately passed away recently. And Forrest helped me with a lot of my exploration, and in his youth he used to explore the Teach Out Ranch, and this is the dairy barn structure that today still exists. It's not as high as it is today, so that's over in the Edgerton area. Welcome to Leonard and Marianne Capps Cabin. This is the foundation of the Capps Cabin, built in the 1870s, and it just so happens to be very close to an iconic symbol of today's Air Force Academy. Capps Cabin is located just to the south of Falcon Stadium. Now I'm going to take you into Douglas Valley. Did you know the Air Force Academy has a Pioneer cabin? Indeed it does. It's located very close to the auto shop, and it's called the Burgess Cabin. And we're now going to explore a little more about this preservation of the Burgess Cabin in Douglas Valley. This is an aerial of Douglas Valley. You'll see in the upper right the Falcon Stadium. That's where the Pioneer Cabin is, and there's also remnants of the Capps Cabin. The Flegels lived in this area, and the Bishops and Youngs were south of where Burgess and Capps lived. We're now here at the Pioneer Cabin, built by William Alexander Burgess in 1875. As today we hear the cadets high above learning to fly, back then this was a quiet little valley in which Burgess built this cabin for his wife and 5 children. That's what the cabin looks like today. It's the Pioneer Cabin that's been wonderfully kept up by the Academy. There are 5 graves, Pioneer graves there, of the Capps family who lived near the Burgess family. It was preserved by Earl Douglas, who lived in Douglas Valley before the Academy came along. These are modern pictures of the Pioneer Cabin today, and it's a site you can go visit. There's a Burgess Lane that takes you right back there. I encourage you to do so. 1955, it was a real exciting time as the Academy was being built, and fortunately the Academy saw to preserve this cabin as a memorial and testament to the pioneers. And here's some pictures of the era and also a newspaper article of an Air Force official exploring the cabin. Furthermore, folks helped us better understand the Burgess Cabin, and many articles were written and talking about the Burgess and Capps family. Here, General Stone, our superintendent back then, is exploring the Pioneer cabin. These photos were provided to me by the Special Collections folks, and next you'll see the interpretation of what this photo is. General Stone was dedicated to preserving the pioneer spirit here and worked closely with the Burgess and Capps descendants to preserve their heritage. Here's a photo of the dedication that occurred in February of 1960. You can see the honor guard of today is matched by the sharpness of the honor guards back then. And they're unveiling a plaque that still stands today there at the Pioneer cabin. And there it is. You can go by there and read up on what was documented about the cabin. The several pioneers, 5 of them, were buried at the cabin. And through the years, the Academy has seen fit to improve the site to memorialize them. Mr. Dwayne Boyle, formerly of CE, played a big role in listening to the pioneer families and ensuring everything was accurate in the stones and the names and the dates. And it was done in 2003. They updated the stones, and these are available for you to go see in Douglas Valley. Here's pictures of the dedication ceremony and also photographs of the gravestones today. Now we're going to take a trip over to Cathedral Rock. You've probably all been able to see it. It's in the northwest part of the Academy. And Cathedral Rock is a beautiful archaeological site and geological site as well. It was a Native American meeting place long ago, and also, believe it or not, it was quite the pioneer logbook. They would literally etch their names in. But first, we'll learn it's a very special place for Air Force Academy cadets. As part of our recognition, completion of the freshman year or dually year, the cadets run out there, and during my era, we would haul a rock back. They don't haul rocks back that aren't pre-planted there by their upper class, but it's quite a tradition to go out there and run back to the Academy and then get ready for the parade to accept you as an upper class member of the wing. Now the pioneers, early on, the pioneers would literally scratch their names, chisel their names into the Cathedral Rock. Many names are there today. In fact, archaeological explorations by the University of Colorado at Colorado Springs by Bill Arbogast have revealed there are 55 pioneers who carved their names in the rock and also provided their dates, and gives us insight to their presence in the 1870s. And this illustration shows many photographs of the Kinners, the Jones, the Flegels, the Bishops, all pioneers who would perhaps picnic at Cathedral Rock and leave their mark there that still stands today. Also, there's a bazillion scratches in there by the cadets. They didn't get it as deep as the pioneers. The pioneers have a lasting carving in this rock. J.C. Kinner, who was lived over in East Husted, carved his name in 1921. He did so when he was 13 years old. Now we're going to look at a few other historical tidbits about the Academy to equip you with really neat stories to talk about the long ago history of the Academy. Let's start by taking a look at the Otis House. The Otis House is where our Commandant lives, and we're now going to take a look at some photographs of what it looked like back in the 1870s. This is a photograph of the Lennox home. It's a second generation home. The first house was a cabin built by John and Elias Evans in 1870. In 1872, the Lennox family from Iowa bought it and improved it to this home we see here. They called it the Glenwood Ranch, and it's through the Lennox family that we're able to get keen insight into the pioneer times in Pine Valley, which again they called the Glenwood Ranch. Let's now take a look at what it looks like today. You'll see the home has grown to a beautiful mansion, courtesy of the Otis family. They made it into the estate it is today that our Commandant lives in. So as you can see, a long history way back to the 1870s. Hester Jane Cogswell and her family lived in the Otis House when the Academy was developed. And here's a picture of her with then Commandant General John Wida and his family, and they hosted her there in 2003, giving her another peek at her home, and a home she's proud of and a home that she was glad the commandants are able to use as their home now. Also living nearby the Lennox was the Young family, William and Mary Young and their daughter Marion. They lived near Falcon Stadium. I was fortunate to learn a lot about this family through Roger Davis, a descendant of the Youngs, who's the curator of the Palmer Lake Lucretia Vale Museum. Here's what their cabin looked like. It was located near Falcon Stadium, and there's a photograph of Marion on a horse in front of the cabin. The Kinners lived in a home that was built in the 1885s, originally the home of E.G. Moon, the Justice of the Peace of the Edgerton community. This is a photograph just before it was destroyed to make way for the Academy. It was located just east of where Falcon Stadium is today. Quite a thriving ranch the Kinners had. Now, one thing in my history exploration I'd like to take a moment to help you understand is how aerial views can sometimes give us insight into what was there long ago. Modern aerial views, courtesy of Google, can give us a bird's eye view, in this case, of where the narrow gauge railroad ran. And my brother Darrell helped me discover this technique. And this is an area that I've actually explored. You can see where the tracks were, and you can also see a siding where they parked an engine. Let's take a closer look at this area north of the North Gate. You can see the berm where the railroad tracks were on, and different views, the slight hints that long ago that was a thriving narrow gauge railroad. You can be amazed at what's right underfoot as we wander our beautiful academy. Here's a picture of an interesting structure near Cathedral Rock. It's the Lennox Kiln. Through my research, I found an article in the Gazette newspaper, the weekly 1881 timeframe, and the Lennox family actually built a limestone kiln near Cathedral Rock. And here they would fire it up and bake out the limestone. So hints and remnants of this still exist today from long ago. Now here's some old scenes. I'm gonna talk you through the 4 interesting scenes. In the upper right is the train station called Summers. It was located at the north end of the Air Force Academy. It was actually a railroad car removed off the rail wheels and made into a train station. Over in the upper right is what it looks like, the trains looked like back then. This is a double header heading up the hill to Palmer Lake, and you can see in the background, if you look closely, Elephant Rock. In the lower left is Schwab Ranch, which was located in the Pine Valley, a thriving ranch of the 40s and 50s. And then finally, south of us was a little railroad stop called Breed. This little community is where the trains would stop and allow folks to get off who took advantage of the Woodman Sanatorium for treating tuberculosis. Well, as I get ready to wrap up, I wonder if this home is familiar to you. If you come in the North Gate, you see this house every day perhaps. It's the Hagen House, built in the 1885s. This house is on the estate of where the Western Mining Museum is. That house has stood there since the 1880s. In fact, the Hagen children would ride their horses to the Edgerton school and go to school there. Imagine if this house could talk. It is gazed upon the pioneers settling on the Academy. It's gazed upon the Santa Fe Railroad being built to match the Rio Grande Railroad. And then in 1954, it gazed upon the construction of our Academy. If you're interested in learning more about the history of our area, I encourage you to go to the Pikes Peak Roadrunners website, where I've posted several articles that describe various pioneer families of the Academy. You can go online and access these articles, and if you want, you're welcome to send me an email. I'm happy to talk to you. And I want to thank you for being a part of this historical journey. And when you go to the website, you can click on the area of interest and learn a lot more than what I've told you today. Thank you for your time, and do feel free to call me and enjoy the United States Air Force Academy, especially our great cadets and our long ago history. Thank you.